What's going on YouTube? Mike here with iHeart Knives, and in this video we're going to be doing kind of an experimental sharpening. I had somebody comment on the last video that I put up about the mini Chosera stones, asking if they could be compared to full-size 8x3 sharpening stones. So this is an experimental run with sharpening on those Chosera stones. So this is a 3x2 400 grit. It's the traditional Naniwa Chosera stone, 3-inch wide, and then they obviously cut 2 inches off, and then that gives 6 inches left for Edge Pro stones. So this is the cutoff for when guys make Edge Pro stones. I ended up turning it, so I used 3 inches of length and 2 inches of width, just because I figured that would be the best way to get like more forward surface area. If I had it only 2 inches long, then it would, it'd be more difficult. You don't get as much of like a push when you sharpen. And being that this knife has a decent belly and curve to it, it makes it easier to have it be 2 inches long instead of 3 inches long. The 400 cut really quickly. I'm going to end up comparing it to the Shapton Glass 500, and I'd say that the 400 Chosera feels very similar to the Shapton Pro 320, just a little bit finer, and it has more of like an elastic feel to it. That's one thing about the Chosera stones, you can put quite a bit of pressure without having to worry about gouging or anything. They're incredibly hard, but they do have like this elasticity to them that you don't get with less expensive stones. Like the Shapton Pros don't have the same elasticity that Choseras do. And even the Shapton Glass, I mean, they're very hard, but they don't have the same elasticity, in my opinion, as the Choseras. So you can see it put an edge back on pretty quickly. I think the total time it took was about 10 minutes, and that was, pretty much taking my time. I sped it up for you guys, but it was about 10 minutes to do the full sharpening with the 400 and the 2000. And then the 8x3 stones, I believe I did it in about 5.5 or 6 minutes, just because you have so much more surface area, and you can sharpen much faster just because you're not worried about running the knife off the stone. So the 2000, this is a very elastic stone. It has a soft feel. If I could see, if you were sharpening like a plain blade or something, you could like really start to develop slurry. That's one benefit to Chosera stones, is they have a very similar feel to naturals, where the softer naturals, you can create slurry and just add a little bit of water, keep the slurry going, and it sharpens incredibly fast and effective. The Choseras have that same ability, but you have to be able to put pressure to build the slurry, or take your time to build it. But with knives, it's a lot more tricky, because you can't put that same kind of pressure, because you'll start to distort the apex or potentially destroy the apex. So for me, if I was going to do like strictly woodworking sharpening, the Choseras would be amazing, just because you could get an awesome slurry, and they sharpen really quickly. The 2000, I don't know if I stayed on it long enough to get complete burr removal. There was like 1 or 2 catches. This is without stropping on any emulsions or anything, but with this steel, this is a spicy white steel, similar to like white Japanese Hitachi white steel. It cut perfectly fine. This was just, again, like an experimental thing. I wasn't looking for edge perfection. I just wanted to see what the differences were. So I killed the edge again on the 500 grit Shapton Glass, and started back over again to see how quickly I get an edge, and what the edge was like. I'd say I got a little bit better of an edge on the 8x3 stones, but not significant enough that Like, I would take either setup. The sharpening experience on the Choseras is amazing. Because they're mini stones, it obviously is not as great, you know. You have to pay attention more that you're not going to run off the stone. There was, I think, twice that I ran off the stones when I started moving quickly. With the 8x3s, you're basically never going to have that happen. But the Choseras have an incredible feel to them that is unlike any other stone. The Shapton Glass 500 cuts really quickly. I'd say it's pretty close to the Chosera 400. The Chosera 400 maybe felt just a little bit coarser, but again, you're like splitting hairs talking about the grit difference. And then I went to the Shapton Pro 2000. So the person who left a comment on my page or on my video about the mini stones, I would say you could get away with the mini stones. His question was about, like, could he get away with just using the mini stones to sharpen like a friend's knife instead of bringing the 8x3s? I say yes, you can, depending on the steel. Like, if you're going to be sharpening difficult to sharpen steel, I'd say bring the 8x3s. If it's just like, Hitachi white steel or like simple Japanese high carbon steel, like blue steel, yeah, you could get away with it. I think I'd take the 8x3s every single time, just because you can move way faster and it's just a more enjoyable sharpening. The little 2x3 stone, I got it for axe sharpening. That's going to be my primary use.Maybe even like for Nagara, like if I wanted to build up a slurry. I don't know that I would even do that, but I'm just saying, like, for use it as like Nagara or a cleaner stone. But again, the primary use is for axes. That's what they work well for, similar to the puck. They're not ideal for knife sharpening. If you're going to be doing pocket knives with them, I'd say you can definitely get away with it. Like, I know that Mike Emler, he does like strictly Edge Pro stones sharpening. So a 1x6 area it's the same surface area as a 2x3 stone. It's just that you have more length, but the width of it is half of that of a 2x3. So you probably get there in right around the same time. There was a little catch when I cut the paper coming off the Shapton 2K in the belly, but again, this wasn't trying to get like the best edge possible. If that were the case, I would use strops or take my time on the stones even more. This was really quick. But overall, the mini stones performed well, but I would take the 8x3 stones all day long. And you can see the edge that was left. It's pretty shiny. It leaves a good polish, and both sets of stones are effective, but the 8x3 are better in my opinion. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments, or if you mail me at iheartknives@yahoo.com. Appreciate you guys watching. Please remember to hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and the bell notification button so that you can be notified when new videos come up. And appreciate all you guys watching the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.